The prevalence of cigarette smoking in high schools has been seen as a problem nationally, regionally, and globally. Despite high schools being a non smoking environment and the sale of narcotics to minors in Trinidad and Tobago being illegal, many students are still able to access this contraband, smuggle it into schools, and use it whilst on the school premises. According to the Tobacco Atlas, smoking amongst boys 13 to 15 years old was found to be 10 to 19% in Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, Barbados, and Venezuela, 20 to 29% United States of America, Mexico, Guyana, Dominica, Bahamas, and Argentina, and 30% and over in Bolivia and Chile. Smoking amongst boys 13 to 15 years old was found to be 10 to 19% in China, 20 to 29% in Poland, and 30% and over in Russia.
Smoking amongst girls 13 to 15 years old was found to be 10 to 19% in Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, Barbados, Suriname, Antigua and Barbuda, and Mexico. 20 to 29% in the United States, Bolivia, Uruguay, Haiti, and Cuba, and 30% and over in Argentina. Smoking amongst girls 13 to 15 years old was found to be under 10% in China and Singapore, 10 to 19% in Kenya and Jordan, 20% to 29% in the Russian Federation and Poland, and 30% and over in Ukraine. In 2007, a total of 2,696 students from 32 schools in Trinidad and Tobago participated in a global school-based student health survey. From these questionnaires, it was ascertained that 9.9% of students smoked cigarettes on one or more of the 30 days before the study. An alarming 80.9% experimented from the age of 13 or younger. Males were seen to be in the majority, but it was mainly the females who had made attempts to stop. Almost 30% of the sample had a parent or guardian who engaged in smoking. Roughly 12% expressed intentions to continue smoking in the coming year, and 9.6% reported that they would be willing to experiment with cigarettes if they were offered by a friend. A longitudinal study was conducted in California and Oregon to determine if there was a link between smoking and academic achievement. The students were interviewed at age 12 and subsequently at age 17. The report showed that early smokers were more likely to drop out of school, obtain low academic scores, and display negative behavior at school. Another U.S. survey carried out in 2009 found that many adolescent smokers often failed academic assessments with grade Ds and Fs. According to a 2014 U.S. Surgeon General's report, teenage smoking can lead to nicotine addiction and impaired brain development. They also predicted that 1 out of 13 children would succumb to smoking-related illnesses such as cancer and lung disease.
Smoking leads to students having the desire to avoid the classroom in order to participate in the activity. This truancy leads to academic failure and increased levels of school dropout. Studies show that the risk of prolonged usage and possible academic failure are more prevalent among those who start smoking at a younger age. The negative behaviors associated with smoking undoubtedly has negatively affected the learning environment. In addition to smokers' attention span and cognition being impaired, classes are usually interrupted when teachers have to deal with these particular situations. The foundation areas addressing the issue of smoking and academic performance are health and family life education, psychology, and sociology. Health and family life education. Students model their parents in the form that students whose parents smoked were more than likely to begin smoking cigarettes on a daily basis rather than those whose parents didn't smoke tobacco. This can also be as a direct result of how easy it is to access cigarettes. There has always been the issue of peer pressure. Many times, negative peer pressure surrounds weak-minded teenagers. Teenagers are highly influenced by their peers, and when encouraged to smoke, they accept the invitation. Local research indicates that students are willing to experiment if their close friends offer them narcotics. Peer selection plays an integral part when it comes to one's behavior. Birds of a feather flock together. Some health effects of smoking include mental illnesses, anxiety, heart disease, stroke, hypertension, lung diseases, just to name a few. The younger someone is when they start smoking, the greater is the harm because early smoking is associated with higher levels of dependency, which lowers the chance of quitting and may eventually lead to death. Damage to blood vessels in chronic teenage smokers may eventually lead to these teenage smokers getting strokes. Chronic smoking can lead to addiction, and in serious cases, secondhand smoke can pose a serious threat to non-smokers' health. It can cause serious diseases in both adults and children who are ignorant of the dangers.
Sociology. Students from low-income families are more likely prone to become smokers or experimenting with cigarettes. In many low-income families, students are often left unsupervised when parents are out working. Oftentimes, an extended family does not exist, and because of the financial situation, parents are unable to pay a babysitter. In some cases, when family members do exist, they are the ones who may encourage the younger ones to smoke. Teenagers are oftentimes incapable of saying no or making the right decisions and therefore give in.
Erik Erikson (1902 to 1994) took Sigmund Freud's controversial theory of psychosexual development and modified it as a psychosocial theory. He emphasized that the ego makes positive contributions to development by mastering attitudes, ideas, and skills at each stage of development. The mastery helps children grow into successful, contributing members of society. One of Erikson's stages of development is identity versus role confusion in adolescence, ages 12 to 18. Children face the task of identity versus role confusion. According to Erikson, an adolescent's main task is developing a sense of self. Adolescents struggle with questions such as, who am I and what do I want to do with my life? Along the way, many teenagers try on many different selves to see which ones fit. They explore various goals and ideas, set goals, and attempt to discover their adult self. Therefore, students have a desire to fit into a group and be accepted, desire to escape from unpleasant situations such as bullying, and are manipulated into believing that smoking can help them to relax. Studies have also shown that smoking affects brain development, impairing thought and decision making. During adolescence, the brain is still developing. Smoking can inhibit this development, leading to cognitive impairment and attention deficits.
Reasons why teenage students smoke. Studies have generally found that teenagers smoke for a variety of reasons. 1. Depression and anxiety. 2. Low self-esteem. 3. A desire to belong and to be socially accepted. 4. Stress factors such as family problems, low academic performance and peer pressure. 5. Advertisements and movies that promote or illustrate smoking in a positive light and easy access to the product.
Adolescents are bombarded with various images on social media. The media plays a critical, influential role on youth and their perceptions via the images and subliminal messages that portray smoking as harmless. Although brief messages are displayed identifying smoking as a dangerous activity, adolescents tend to disregard the warning. International research has thus proposed that strong media campaigns highlighting the dangers of smoking is imperative in the drive to reduce the initiation risk of young smokers. Smoking prevention programs in schools. Lovato et al. In the Canadian study determined that the ideal school setting that supports low student smoking levels is one where tobacco prevention education and strong policies that prohibit smoking exist. Community and school interventions, such as sport and mentorship programs, can assist teenagers in making well informed decisions while boosting their self esteem. It is apparent that the current laws and regulations are not effective due to the fact minors are able to easily access tobacco products. Increased taxes on tobacco products. Lovato et al. Stipulated that heavier levies can be a deterrent to the acquisition of cigarettes. Parental involvement and teacher training. Parents and teachers have to work together to combat this global issue to ensure a future healthy human resource. From the research conducted, it can be concluded that psychological and sociological factors within the family life environment of adolescents can heavily influence their desire to smoke and ultimately impact their health and education. In order to effectively address the issue of smoking amongst teenagers, all major stakeholders, that is, parents, teachers, school administrators, and the community at large, need to work together.